broken thing night was quiet in the small town. Most windows were dark and the streets empty. But inside a little workshop at the edge of town, light still burned. The glow came from old lamps, wires, and tools scattered across a messy table. Among the piles of scrap metal lay something strange. It was not from Earth. The object was smooth, curved like a silver shell with lines that pulsed faint blue. No one knew what it really was. Everyone who had seen it in the scrapyard thought it was useless junk. But John did not think so. John was a simple mechanic, a man who liked to fix things other people threw away. When he first touched the strange object, he felt something, a tiny vibration, almost like a heartbeat. That was why he brought it home. Now, hours later, the workshop echoed with the sound of small tools clicking. John leaned close, wiping sweat from his forehead. "Come on," he muttered, tightening a wire. The device was stubborn. No matter how much he tried, it refused to open. But then, suddenly, the shell gave a small hum. A light flickered inside. John froze. The object was alive. The blue lines glowed brighter, running across the surface like rivers of light. John stepped back, heart racing. He grabbed a wrench as if it could protect him. The light grew stronger, filling the room with strange symbols. They floated in the air like ghostly writing. John could not read them, but he felt one thing clearly. This machine recognized him. He should have turned it off. He should have thrown it away. But John was curious. And curiosity that night was dangerous. As he leaned closer, the workshop grew cold. The lights in the room flickered, and for a moment the power died. Only the alien glow remained, shining on John's face. He heard a faint sound, not from the device, but from outside. A whisper in the wind, almost like footsteps on gravel. John shook his head. Maybe he was just tired. He returned to the device and touched the glowing lines. The light pulsed stronger as if answering him. A sharp crack echoed. Sparks shot out. The machine released a small wave of energy that rattled the tools on the table. John fell back in his chair. His hands trembled. "What are you?" He whispered, no answer. Only silence. Then, 3 soft knocks on the door. John's head snapped toward the sound. Midnight visitors were rare in this quiet town. He waited, holding his breath. Again, 3 knocks, louder this time. Slowly, John stood up. He looked at the device. Its glow dimmed as if it was hiding. He walked to the door, every step heavy, his chest tight with fear. He unlocked it and opened it just a crack. Someone was standing there. It was a woman, tall, wrapped in silver armor that shimmered even in the darkness. Her eyes were sharp, glowing faintly with the same blue light as the device. Her hair was tied back and her face was serious, almost cold. She did not look human. John's throat went dry. The woman spoke in a low voice. Her words were clear, though her accent was strange. "You fixed it," she said. "Now they will come." John blinked. "What?" The woman stepped forward, pushing the door wider. She looked around the workshop, her eyes locking on the glowing device. She nodded as if confirming something. Then she looked at John again. "You should not have touched it. The moment you woke it, the signal spread. Hunters will find this place." John laughed nervously. "Hunters? Lady, I don't know who you are, but this is just some machine I found in the junkyard." Her expression did not change. "It is not junk. It is a key, and now you have it." John felt his legs weaken. He wanted to tell her to leave, to take her strange warnings and go. But before he could speak, the sound of gravel crunching outside filled the air. Shadows moved at the edge of the street. Figures tall and thin with glowing red eyes. John's blood turned cold. The woman whispered, "Too late. They are here." The device on the table pulsed again, faster, brighter, almost like it was afraid. John looked at the strange armored woman, then at the shadows moving closer. His quiet life as a mechanic was gone. He had fixed something he should never have touched. And now the world outside his door would never be the same. The 3rd knock had come. And behind it, danger was waiting. The night outside John's workshop was no longer quiet. Shadows stretched across the street, moving with purpose. Their eyes glowed red in the dark, sharp and cold, like hunters watching prey. Inside, John's chest pounded. He pressed his back against the wall, staring at the armored woman who had stepped into his life without warning. She closed the door quickly, her movements smooth, trained. She spoke in a low voice, urgent but steady. "They know the device is awake. They will not stop until they take it, and when they do, your world will fall." John shook his head, his voice trembling. I, I don't even know what this thing is. I just fixed wires and it lit up. That's all. The woman's eyes softened for the first time, but only a little. You did more than fix wires. You answered it. The device has chosen you. John stared at the glowing shell on his workbench. It pulsed faintly as if it were breathing. He whispered to himself, "Chosen me? That's insane." Before she could answer, a sharp sound cut through the silence. Glass shattered in the street. The shadows moved closer. The woman's hand went to her side, pulling out a weapon unlike anything John had ever seen. It was sleek, silver, glowing with the same blue light as her armor. She turned to him. "Stay behind me." John opened his mouth to protest, but the look in her eyes silenced him. She wasn't asking. She was commanding. The door rattled once. Then again. Heavy blows shook the frame. John grabbed a wrench from the table, his only weapon. His palms were slick with sweat. The woman whispered, "When the time comes, you must run. Do not let them touch the device." Before John could respond, the door cracked wide open. A tall figure stepped inside. Its skin was gray, stretched tight over sharp bones. Red eyes burned from its skull-like face. Its long fingers curled around a weapon shaped like a blade of fire. John froze. Every part of him screamed to run, but his legs would not move. The armored woman acted first. Her weapon lit up, firing a blast of blue light that slammed into the hunter's chest. The creature screeched, its voice harsh and broken like metal grinding. Another shadow slipped through the window, claws scraping the wall. John ducked as the creature lunged at him. He swung his wrench wildly, hitting its arm. Sparks flew as the weapon it carried scraped against the workbench. The woman shouted, "Move!" John stumbled backward, clutching the wrench, heart hammering. He wanted to believe this was a dream. But the burning smell of scorched metal, the sound of claws on wood, and the glowing alien eyes told him this was terrifyingly real. Two hunters advanced now, one blocking the door, the other circling near the window. They moved like predators, fast and hungry. The woman fought with precision, striking with her glowing weapon. Every move was controlled, like she had done this 1,000 times before. But the hunters were many, and they were not afraid to die. John's eyes darted to the device. It pulsed faster, brighter, almost panicked. He felt drawn to it. Against all reason, he reached out and touched it. The instant his hand touched the shell, a wave of energy exploded from it. The hunters staggered back, hissing. The windows shook, and the lights in the workshop burst. Blue symbols filled the air again, brighter than before, spinning around John. The woman's eyes widened. "It responds to you," she whispered. The hunters shrieked, their voices like broken alarms. They backed away, shielding their faces from the light. Then with one last hiss, they slipped back into the night, vanishing into the shadows. The workshop grew quiet again, though the device still glowed softly in John's hands. His legs gave out and he sat hard on the floor, gasping. The woman lowered her weapon. She studied him for a long moment, her expression unreadable. Finally, she spoke. "You are not like the others." John let out a bitter laugh. "I'm just a mechanic. I fix cars, radios, junk. That's it. I'm no hero." She stepped closer, her armor shining faintly in the broken light. "My name is Solara. I am princess of a world you will never see. That device was stolen from my people. It carries a secret powerful enough to burn planets. Now it answers to you, and that means you cannot hide." John stared at her, his mind spinning. A princess? A stolen device? Hunters from the dark? None of it made sense. He wanted to push it all away, to throw the alien shell back into the junkyard and forget this night ever happened. But deep inside, he knew the truth. The moment he fixed it, his life changed forever. Outside, the wind carried faint, distant screeches. The hunters were not gone for good. They would return. John looked at the glowing device, then at Solara. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring. But he knew one thing clearly: he was no longer safe. The hunters, the night refused to end. Outside the workshop, the wind carried distant shrieks that made John's skin crawl. The hunters had retreated, but not far. Their glowing red eyes lingered in the shadows, watching, waiting. John sat on the floor, the device still pulsing in his hands. Each beat of its light seemed to match his own racing heart. He wanted to throw it away, to smash it and end this madness. But when he tried to set it down, his fingers refused to let go. Solara, the armored woman who called herself a princess, stood near the door, scanning the dark street. Her weapon hummed faintly, blue light running along its edge, She looked calm, but John could see the tension in her shoulders. "They won't stop," she said quietly. "Once they mark a signal, they hunt until the prey is gone." John's throat was dry. "Prey? You mean me?" Her gaze flicked to him, serious and cold. "Not just you. The device. But since it answers to you, yes, you are their target now." John let out a nervous laugh. "Great, just great. I fix cars and radios for a living, and now I'm some kind of alien bullseye." Solara did not smile. "Do not take this lightly. You saw their weapons. You saw their eyes. They are not thieves. They are executioners." Before John could respond, a noise echoed outside, metal scraping against stone. Then another sound, closer this time, the hiss of claws dragging across wood. The hunters were circling the workshop. Solara lifted her weapon. "Stay low." The window shuddered as a shadow passed by. Red eyes glowed through the glass. John crawled behind his workbench, clutching the device against his chest. It throbbed harder, reacting to the danger outside. Suddenly, the front door cracked open. A hunter forced its way in, ducking under the frame. Its body was tall and skeletal, wrapped in dark armor that looked grown, not made. Its red eyes locked onto John immediately. John's body froze. The hunter raised its fireblade, moving toward him with slow, certain steps. Solara fired. A blue beam struck the creature's shoulder, sending sparks flying. It staggered but did not fall. Instead, it screeched and rushed forward. Solara met it head-on, their weapons clashing in a storm of light and sound. Another crash echoed behind John. The window shattered. A second hunter leapt through, landing with a heavy thud. Its eyes burned brighter as it spotted the glowing device in John's hands. John scrambled backward, hitting the wall. "Solara," he shouted. She was locked in battle with the first hunter, blades flashing in arcs of fire and blue light. She couldn't reach him in time. The second hunter raised its weapon. John acted without thinking. He held up the device. Blue energy exploded outward, a wave so strong it knocked the hunter across the room. The walls shook, tools clattered to the ground, and the creature slammed into the far wall with a howl. John gasped. The device dimmed, its glow calming as if it had given everything in that single blast. His arms ached from the force, but he was alive. Solara finished the first hunter with a final strike, piercing its chest. It collapsed in a heap, its armor cracking, its red eyes fading to black. She turned quickly to the second, but it was already pulling itself up from the rubble, hissing in rage. "John, the device!" she shouted, but the device in his hands was quiet now, almost asleep. John shook it desperately. "Come on, do that thing again." The hunter lunged at him. Solara jumped between them, blocking the strike with her glowing blade. The impact sent her staggering, but she held her ground. John's eyes darted to the device. Strange symbols appeared again, spinning faster this time. He didn't understand them, but his mind felt pulled as if the device was speaking in thoughts instead of words. Images filled his head. Stars, constellations, a map stretching across space. His breath caught. "It's showing me something." Solara parried another blow, shouting over the clash of weapons. "What do you see?" "A map," John gasped. "Stars, lines." "It's pointing somewhere." The hunter struck again, but Solara moved with deadly precision, slicing through its weapon. With one final strike, she cut across its chest. The creature screamed and fell, twitching until its eyes went dark. Silence returned to the workshop. Only John's ragged breathing and the faint hum of the device filled the air. Solara lowered her weapon, sweat glistening on her brow. She walked toward John, her eyes fixed on the glowing shell in his hands. "It showed you a map?" John nodded, still shaking. "Yeah, it used the stars, and I think it matched them with ours. Earth stars. It's pointing to something here." Solara's expression hardened. "Then the hunters will not stop. Whatever it points to, they want it as much as we do." John swallowed hard, staring at the device. The map still floated faintly above it, alien lines connecting constellations he recognized. The answer was hidden somewhere on Earth, and now the hunters knew it too. The workshop smelled of smoke and metal. Broken glass crunched under John's boots as he stood in the middle of the wreckage. Two dead hunters lay on the floor, their armor cracked and lifeless. Yet John felt no victory. His hands shook, his chest burned, and the device still pulsed faintly against his skin. Solara wiped her blade clean and slid it back into its sheath. Her armor glimmered with faint scratches, proof of the battle. She studied John with sharp eyes. "You saw the map," she said, not as a question but as a truth. John swallowed. The images still burned in his mind. Stars, constellations, lines connecting across space. But one part was clear. It had pointed to Earth. It showed me something buried, he said slowly. A ship, maybe? Or a place? I don't know, Solara nodded grimly. The device does not lie. If it pointed here, then something powerful sleeps on your world. John sat heavily in his chair. His hands rubbed his face, smearing soot across his skin. I didn't ask for any of this. I just wanted to fix junk. Now monsters are smashing through my windows, and some alien GPS is using my head as a screen. Solara stepped closer, her voice calm but cold. You are no longer just a mechanic. The device chose you. That cannot be undone. John laughed bitterly. Chosen, right, why do I feel more like cursed? Before she could answer, the device glowed brighter. Symbols spun in the air, rearranging themselves until they formed a clearer map. Solara's eyes widened. It is showing the next point. John looked at it carefully. The lines matched constellations he knew. Orion, Cassiopeia, the North Star. But then the symbol zoomed closer, shrinking from the sky to the shape of a globe. Earth. Blue light circled the northern hemisphere. Slowly, the symbols locked onto a frozen land. John's eyes widened. The Arctic, Solara frowned. Ice covers secrets well. It must be a ship. An old one. The device dimmed, its work done, but John still felt its echo inside his mind. He shivered, though not from the cold. If this is true, how do we even get there? I don't exactly own a snowmobile, let alone a plane. Solara's lips curved in the faintest smile. You humans built many machines. We will find a way. Before John could argue, movement outside caught his eye. He froze, expecting more hunters. But this time it was only headlights passing by. A truck rattling down the distant road. He let out a shaky breath. Still, he knew the hunters weren't gone. They would regroup, Solara confirmed his thought. They will send more. Tonight was only a scout wave. Their masters will know the map is active now. John rubbed his temples. His quiet life was gone. He thought of the cars waiting in his shop, the small jobs he still had left undone. None of it mattered anymore. Not when shadows with burning eyes were hunting him. Solara's voice pulled him back. We leave at dawn. John blinked. Leave for the Arctic? Just like that? She gave him a steady look. Do you want to wait here for the next wave? John sighed. He wanted to say no, to refuse, to go back to his normal life. But deep inside he already knew there was no turning back. The device was bound to him, and the hunters were not going to let him walk away. That night, John barely slept. Every sound outside made him flinch. Every flicker of light on the wall reminded him of red eyes staring through the glass. The device rested on the table, glowing softly as if it too never slept. By morning, John packed a small bag. Tools, clothes, food. Solara carried nothing but her weapon and her armor. When John asked if she needed supplies, she only shook her head. My kind survives on little, she said. But you keep your tools. You will need them, John frowned. What good are wrenches against monsters with fire blades? She looked at him then, her expression unreadable. Your tools saved you last night. Do not doubt what your hands can build. They left the town quietly, moving before neighbors could notice the wreckage of John's workshop. The streets were still, but John felt unseen eyes watching from the shadows. At the bus station on the edge of town, John hesitated. He looked at Solara, who stood tall and strange beside him, her armor hidden under a heavy coat. She did not look nervous. If anything, she looked like someone who had been on 100 journeys like this before. You're really a princess? John asked suddenly, trying to fill the silence. Solara glanced at him. Yes, and you're not lying? Her gaze turned sharp. Does it matter? My crown does not protect me now. My blade does. John had no reply. He only nodded and followed her onto the bus. As the vehicle rumbled away, John stared out the window. For the first time in his life, he was leaving not for a holiday or a job, but because something bigger than himself demanded it. The map had chosen its path, and whether he liked it or not, John was following it. Far behind them, in the ruins of his workshop, a faint red glow flickered among the dead hunters. One of their shattered helmets sent a signal into the sky. The hunters knew where he was going. The world turned white. Days later, John stood at the edge of an endless sea of ice. The Arctic winds screamed across the barren land. cutting through his coat and freezing his breath. Snowflakes stung his face like tiny blades. Beside him, Solara moved easily, her armor hidden beneath heavy furs. The cold didn't seem to bother her. Her glowing eyes scanned the horizon, searching for danger. She walked as if she belonged here, while John struggled with every step. His boots crunched deep into the snow, his legs already heavy with exhaustion. "This is insane," John muttered, pulling his scarf tighter. "Normal people don't walk across ice deserts chasing alien treasure maps." Solara did not answer. She only pointed to the device in his hand. It pulsed faintly, sending out a soft blue glow that cut through the storm. Each time it blinked, the light pointed toward the same direction, north. The map had led them across cities, plains, and finally a frozen wasteland. Now, with every step, John felt the device pulling them closer to something hidden beneath the ice. Hours passed. The sky turned gray, then darker still. John's body begged him to stop, but Solara pressed on, tireless as ever. Finally, the device grew brighter. The blue glow spread across the snow, forming symbols that hovered in the air. Solara stopped. Her voice was calm but sharp. "We are close." John squinted through the storm. At first he saw nothing but ice and rock, but then he noticed shapes. The snow hid them well, but now that he was closer, he saw metal beneath the ice. Curved walls, smooth lines. "Not natural, is that?" Solara nodded. "A ship, one of ours. Buried long before your kind walked this world." John's jaw tightened. "Wait, are you saying this thing is older than human history?" "Yes," she said simply. "Older and more dangerous." They moved closer. Solara placed her hand on the icy surface. The ship was enormous, its silver hull frozen into the glacier like a trapped beast. Strange marks, half buried, ran along its side. They glowed faintly, the same color as the device. The closer John came, the stronger the device pulsed, as if calling to the ship. The ice around it cracked, thin lines spreading like spiderwebs. The sound echoed through the frozen air. John stepped back nervously. "That doesn't sound good." Solara's eyes narrowed. "It is waking." The ground shook. A low hum vibrated through the glacier. Snow slid from the buried hull as the ancient ship began to stir. Slowly, a seam opened, splitting the ice apart. A dark passage revealed itself, glowing faintly blue from within. John's breath caught. He whispered, "We're going inside that, aren't we?" Solara gave him a sharp look. "Unless you prefer waiting for the hunters to arrive." That shut him up. Together they stepped into the passage. The air inside was heavy and strange, warmer than the freezing storm outside. The walls of the ship glowed faintly, lighting their way. Symbols shifted across the metal, alive like streams of light. John touched the wall. It felt smooth, almost alive. "It's like the ship is breathing." Solara glanced back. "Careful. Ships like these have guardians." "Guardians?" John asked, frowning. As if on cue, the wall rippled. From the glowing lines, a figure stepped out. It was not flesh, but pure light shaped into a tall humanoid form. Its face was smooth, featureless, but its glowing eyes fixed on John. John stumbled back. "What the hell is that?" Solara drew her weapon but did not strike. "An AI sentinel," she said. "A mind made of code, bound to protect the ship." The guardian spoke, its voice echoing without lips. "Bearer of the key, state your purpose." John froze. Hi, my purpose is..." "Not dying?" Solara gave him a sharp nudge. "Speak seriously." "It listens to you, not me." John swallowed hard. He held up the device. I fixed this. It brought me here. I think I'm supposed to..." "Unlock something?" The guardian tilted its head. The ship's walls glowed brighter. Then the voice spoke again. Recognition confirmed. "The key has returned." John blinked. "Wait, the key? That's what this thing is?" The guardian ignored him. Its glowing form moved aside and the passage ahead lit up. "Proceed." "The trial begins," John groaned. "Trial? Oh, come on." Solara tightened her grip on her weapon. "Stay alert. Trials in ships like these are never simple." They walked deeper into the ship. The passage opened into a vast chamber, wider than any stadium John had ever seen. In the center stood a pedestal of glowing crystal. Symbols spun above it, shifting in patterns that hurt John's eyes to watch. Solara whispered, "That is a control core. If you touch it, the ship will awaken fully." John stared at it, his stomach twisting. "And what happens if I don't?" Her eyes hardened. "Then the hunters will claim it instead." Before John could answer, a sound shook the chamber. From the walls, more guardians emerged, dozens of glowing forms, their eyes locked on him. The trial had begun. The chamber pulsed with blue light. Dozens of glowing guardians surrounded John, their featureless faces fixed on him. They did not attack, but their presence pressed down like a weight. From the center of the room, the crystal pedestal hummed, waiting. Strange symbols spun above it, changing faster and faster like a puzzle only he could solve. Solara stood at his side, her weapon drawn, eyes sharp. "This is the trial," she whispered. "The ship will test you. If you fail, the guardians will strike." John's mouth went dry. No pressure. He stepped closer to the pedestal. The device in his hand vibrated, glowing brighter than ever. The symbols above the crystal slowed, aligning with the blue lines on the device. John lifted it, and for a moment the ship seemed to listen. Then everything shook. The ice above the ship cracked, sending thunder through the chamber. Solara snapped her head toward the ceiling. Her voice was grim. "They're here," John's heart sank. "The hunters?" She nodded. "They followed us. The signal led them straight here." As if to prove her words, the chamber doors blasted open. Hunters poured in, tall, skeletal, their red eyes burning in the dark. They hissed and raised their fire blades, their voices like grinding metal. The guardians reacted instantly. Blue light spears formed in their hands. They turned, forming a wall between John and the intruders. The trial and the battle had become one. Solara raised her weapon, shouting over the chaos. "Finish the trial. The ship must wake." John stared at the pedestal, panic clawing at his chest. The symbols shifted again, this time forming patterns that matched constellations. Orion, Cassiopeia, Polaris. He recognized them. But the last piece was alien, a star he didn't know. Behind him, the clash exploded. Guardians of light fought hunters of bone and fire. Solara struck with precision, cutting down one after another, but the hunters were many. The chamber filled with screams, sparks, and the thunder of battle. John gritted his teeth. He held the device over the pedestal, trying to match the final star. His mind swam with the vision the device had shown him before. A map leading to Earth, leading to this very ship. "What are you trying to tell me?" he whispered. The device pulsed once. His eyes widened. He remembered the night sky back home, the one he saw from his workshop roof. The missing star wasn't alien. It was hidden, blocked by Earth's angle. He raised the device higher. The symbols locked in place. The pedestal flared with light. The ship roared awake. Blue energy surged through the chamber walls. The guardians grew brighter, their bodies solidifying into armored forms of pure light. They charged the hunters with renewed fury. Solara looked back, eyes wide. "You did it!" But the hunters did not flee. Their leader stepped forward, taller and more armored than the rest. Its eyes glowed like burning coals. It lifted a weapon twice the size of the others and swung. A wave of fire smashed through guardians, scattering them. John staggered back. "That thing's bigger than the rest," Solara growled. "An alpha. They send it when the prey proves strong," the alpha roared, its voice shaking the chamber. It pointed its weapon at John. The hunters surged forward, ignoring the guardians, heading straight for him. Solara leapt into their path, fighting with everything she had. But she was outnumbered, her blade flashing desperately as more claws closed around her. John's chest tightened. He couldn't just stand there. The device pulsed in his hand, hotter than ever. He looked at it, and for the first time he didn't see a machine. He saw a choice, he shouted, lifting it high. "If you chose me, then fight with me." The device exploded with light. Blue energy poured from it, wrapping around John's arm like living armor. Symbols carved themselves into his skin, glowing fiercely. The device was no longer separate. It had fused to him. The alpha froze, its red eyes narrowing. "Impossible," it hissed. John didn't understand how, but power surged through him. The air vibrated, and the guardians turned their glowing heads toward him as if recognizing a new master. He raised his arm. A blast of pure energy shot from it, striking the alpha and throwing the massive creature across the chamber. The hunters shrieked in fear. For the first time, they backed away. Solara cut down the last attacker near her, then turned to John. Her face, usually hard and calm, was full of awe. "The ship has accepted you. You are its bearer now." John's arm trembled under the power, but he stood tall. His eyes burned with the same blue light as the device. He felt stronger, faster, alive in a way he never imagined. The hunters hissed, retreating toward the broken doors. The alpha snarled, dragging itself upright. "This is not over, human," it growled. "You are marked. Our masters will come." With that, the hunters vanished into the shadows. Silence filled the chamber again. The guardians faded back into the walls, their duty done. Only John and Solara remained, standing before the awakened core of the ship. John lowered his arm. The blue glow dimmed, though it still pulsed faintly under his skin. He let out a shaky laugh. "Well, that was insane." Solara stepped closer, her voice quiet but fierce. "No, that was destiny. The galaxy will know your name now. The hunters will not stop until you are destroyed." John stared at the glowing marks on his arm. For the first time, he wasn't just scared. He felt the weight of something bigger, something he couldn't run from. He looked up at Solara. "Then I guess I'd better be ready." The ship was awake. Blue light ran through its walls like rivers of energy. The chamber hummed with power, no longer buried and silent but alive, breathing again after ages of sleep. John stood at the center, his arm glowing with the same light. The device had fused to him, its marks etched across his skin like fire that would never fade. Every pulse of energy matched the beat of his heart. He felt different, stronger, and yet terrified. Solara watched him carefully, her blade lowered. Her voice was quiet but heavy with meaning. "The ship chose you. Not me, not my people. A human. Do you understand what this means?" John shook his head. "I don't even understand what I ate for breakfast most days. And now I've got an alien tattoo that shoots lightning." For the first time, Solara almost smiled. "You are more than you think. The key has accepted you. That makes you part of something far greater than your small world." John looked at his glowing arm, then at the chamber around him. He wanted to argue, to push the responsibility away, but deep inside he knew she was right. Before he could answer, the air shifted. The ship's control core flared, and the Guardian returned, its body still made of living light. Its voice echoed across the chamber. "Bearer of the key, you have passed the trial. The ship awaits your command." John blinked. "My command? Whoa, wait, this isn't some video game. I don't know how to fly alien spaceships." The Guardian ignored his panic. "Warning. Signal detected. Enemy fleet approaches." Solara stiffened. "Fleet?" The Guardian raised a glowing hand, projecting an image into the air. Stars filled the space above them, and among them, ships. Dozens, hundreds. Massive vessels, each one bristling with weapons. Their red light glared like burning wounds across the sky. John's throat tightened. That's all coming here?" Solara's face hardened. "The Hunter's masters. The true enemy. They know the key has awakened, and they will not stop until they claim it." The ship rumbled as if it too understood the danger. The Guardian spoke again. "This vessel carries weapons, knowledge, and flight. But it cannot fight alone. The bearer must choose to hide or to stand." John laughed bitterly, though his voice cracked. "Hide against that? Where would I even go?" Solara stepped closer, her eyes glowing faintly. "The choice is yours, John, but know this. If you run, Earth will burn. If you stand, you may light a fire the galaxy has not seen in ages." John stared at her, then at the projection of the enemy fleet. He felt small, impossibly small, like an ant staring up at a storm. And yet the device pulsed against his skin, steady and firm, as if telling him, "You were chosen for a reason." He took a deep breath. "If I stand, what happens?" The Guardian's voice boomed. "The ship will rise. Its signal will spread. Others will hear. The galaxy will know the key has returned. Allies may come. Enemies will come faster." John thought of his workshop, his quiet town, the life he once had. It was gone now, broken the moment he touched the device. He wasn't ready. He might never be ready. But running would only doom his world. He clenched his fist. "Then we stand." The chamber blazed with light. The ship rumbled louder, shaking the ice above. Outside, cracks split the glacier as the ancient vessel began to rise. Ice shattered and fell in massive sheets, crashing into the sea below. The frozen prison of centuries was breaking. John and Solara rushed to a viewing deck as the ship tore itself free. Through the glass, John saw the horizon. Endless ice, roaring winds, and now the shadow of a giant starship rising into the storm. Solara stood beside him, her face lit by the glow. "The galaxy will remember this day. A human has awakened the key." John let out a shaky laugh. "Great, guess I just made the world a bigger target." Solara's gaze was steady. "No, you made it a contender." The Guardian's voice echoed once more. "Signal sent. All who hear will come. John's stomach dropped. Wait, all? As in, good guys and bad guys? Yes, the Guardian said simply. For a moment, silence filled the deck. Then far above the clouds, faint red lights flickered. Scouts from the fleet already descending. John's heart pounded. The fight was not over. It was only beginning. He looked at Solara, his voice firm despite the fear. Then let's show them what a human can do. The ship's engines roared, shaking the earth itself, and with a surge of light, the vessel blasted upward, carrying John Solara and the human key into the sky.